Welcome to another episode of the Back Catalogue podcast. We're wearing pants. This is the podcast where we, and by we I mean me, Apple, and my co-host / co-founder Vincent. We dive into the streaming service. We tell you, the listener and the viewer, what is worth it and what is not. We've got an absolute hitter today, Vincent. We haven't been in the stew for a while. We haven't been doing podcasts for a while. We've been on break.
I was about to start saying the intro with you as a force of habit, because every time I only edit it now, I don't really listen to you a lot of the time. Like, I'm not there in the moment.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, because sometimes when I edit, I just go, welcome, as like you're saying it.
Yeah.
You know, as if I'm a fan of the show,
and
which I'm not really a fan of the show, but.
If we're saying like welcome, we got to welcome David. Like, just
welcome, David.
David. Hey, so David did a top tier thing.
He's probably not going to watch this one because he said he doesn't like superhero things.
David doesn't like superhero things, but David,
adults dressing up in Halloween costumes, which it absolutely is. And like, I'm not going to disagree with him there.
I'm an adult who enjoys Halloween, like the movie, and also just like dress ups.
I do not enjoy either of those things, but
here's the thing: I got to put this on Do Not Disturb. David hit us up. David hit us up with a where's Do Not Disturb on this? Here it is. David hit us up with an email, and like that email had been running bare for a while. But David hit us up with
running bare.
Who we get an email from? Scam artists. That's it.
Oh, as in the email, the inbox that
the inbox that we have.
Yeah, most of it is just people. I mean, we got a job offer because they'd heard our podcast, and naturally they want us to be their personal chef. Which
or like a movie set.
On a movie set, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Which is,
Yeah.
I mean, I've accepted, so I'm waiting for them to send me an email back.
Bro, and that was like decent money, like more money than probably, your regular chefs make. I don't know.
Absolutely. Well, it's a personal chef. Like.
Yeah, that's true. So we probably get housing and board, we get bored. And we get bored because like we don't know how to cook.
Well, I mean, no, I don't think we'll get bored. We'll just be, where's the cardamom? I'll be like, but what is a cardamom?
Like we'll be hitting them with the steamed hams. But here's the thing. Gmail's live and well. If you want to request a video or a movie, like I'm happy to say right now, we know what we're doing next week. We know what we're doing the week after.
We got 3 weeks of content coming up.
We got 3 weeks. But we know we're going to do
thanks
Jungle
to David.
Book. We're going to do Jungle Book. We're going to do, and that's the original.
Is the 1976 one, is that the original animated one?
I think it might be 1967. I think you might have got your 6s and 7s mixed up.
Regardless, is that the one with the one that we know from our childhoods, or is that older?
Well, the one that we know from our childhoods is an old one.
Is that right?
Just like Snow White's old. Like Snow White didn't come out in the 90s.
That's wild to me because that's animation things, and that's just. It just seems like they shouldn't have had the technology. Yeah, but I mean, then again, they put a man on the moon.
They put a man on the moon, arguably. Like you could argue both ways.
You could.
Like that thing was flapping, and like it's a vacuum. How's that going to work? But that's conspiracy things. That's Stanley Kubrick things. We're doing the Batman, 2022's very own, the Batman. Vincent, I'm going to just give you some facts. We're going to get into this a bit quicker than we usually do because I'm excited for this. But this is a 7.9 out of 10 on the IMDb. It's too low. It's 85% on the Rotten Tomatoes. This is directed by Matt Reeves. Just going to let you know that because I'm trying to look for other things. Had a box office of 770.8 million, and the budget was 185 to 200 million.
See, that seems like a low budget.
185 to 200.
Is that low for one of these films?
That's like Marvel film level.
Okay, so this is big. Okay,
yeah. That's Doctor Strange was 200 million.
Okay. Yeah. So this is big budget films, which is interesting because there's not. I guess there's not as much traditional special effects CGI you'd think, but there's probably a lot of those effects in, but also a lot of other preparation in terms of effects and whatnot,
and also in terms of like COVIDicus things. Because they were filming this amongst COVID.
That's wild.
Like R. Pats himself went down with COVID. Remember the Batman got put on?
I was wondering why he sounded a bit blocked up in one of them scenes.
He sounded blocked up in one of them scenes. Yeah. Like before
Carmen Falcone. That's what he sounded like.
You sounded more like Falcone.
I know. I didn't say like, because I was thinking of saying, every time I say his name, the inner Italian in me wants to come out and start talking, because I'm from the south of Italy, and we don't talk about the south of Italy on this podcast.
No, bro, we don't.
I mean, I just don't talk about that.
No, that's like the back catalogue of Italy. Like no one talks about it. But Vincent, this is what I have to tell you. Okay, today I want us to talk about just we're going to talk about the hits. We're going to talk about the misses. There's going to be more hits than misses. That's all I'm going to say. I want to talk to you about, you a Batman fan. You are a Batman fan. But you as a Batman fan, I want to talk to you about what you think could be next after this movie. That's what I want to know about. I also want to know, that's probably what I should have said later, but I want to know about the Batmobile and what you think of the Batmobile. And just we're just going to talk about R-Pats for a hot minute. Okay? I want us to start with R-Pats for a hot minute, if that's all right.
Go ahead.
All right, so R-Pats, he made his way into this world through Twilight. Man's got birthed and he was Twilight, right? That movie, although not arguably they're not bad movies. Have you seen the Twilight movies?
I've not seen any of the Twilight movies.
I've seen the first one, right? And I've seen Breaking Dawn Part 2, which I think is the last one.
It's an interesting...
But I also reckon I've seen one of the other ones as well. So I've seen 3 at least.
How many are there? 4, 5?
It could be only 4. But I've seen 3 of them, right?
Okay.
But a lot of people gave hate towards Twilight and specifically towards Kristen Stewart and towards Robert Pattinson.
They dated for a while. Was that was a K-Pats or something?
Dude, K-Pats, man.
That was a thing. That was one of the power couples when we were in like year 8.
Yeah.
I reckon.
And the saddest thing about K-Pats, and this is just things that I learned along the way of my life, I pick up these things as I go. I'm a man of the streets. I pick things up, right? People ask me where I go educate. I tell them on the streets, right? So R-Pats, K-Pats, if you will, the reason that they broke up was because Kristen Stewart had an affair with the director of Snow White and the Huntsman. Now I'm talking an older French director. Are you going to leave R-Pats?
Them old French dudes, man, they know how to wine and dine.
I mean, that's
not
true,
excusing anything, but...
but it's infidelity, Like, remember that priest you were talking about? He's talking about infidelity?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't be doing that.
No, that's right.
But what she didn't realize is she didn't realize that R-Pats, she thought R-Pats had hit his prime. But he hadn't hit his prime.
Right. Whether she's
in saying that,
regretting it now, but
Kristen Stewart's doing good things right now. Have you seen all the things Kristen Stewart's doing?
Was she like out there feeding homeless people or something?
No, like movie wise. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah. She's not a good person, but she's doing good movies. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know, what would the word be? Like, it's not philanthropy.
She's not doing Bill Gates things. Like, I'm trying to just get rid of polio.
Yeah, Bill Gates get rid of polio, but he's also like, you don't know what he's doing. He's been on Epstein's island. He's doing pizza. He's
billionaires.
He's buying pizzas from Epstein. He's Pizzagate.
Pizzagate. Let's not speculate anymore because
we're not speculating anymore. But I'm not hanging out with heads that have been on lists. Is all I'm saying. If you're on a list and the list has Epstein or Weinstein in it, I'm not hanging out with you. If you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
Because I don't know what these. That's infidelity at its highest. But what I want to say though is Kristen Stewart, she's doing good things. Underwater was a decent movie. It's on Disney Plus. She did a very good job we were talking about Princess Diana not but 5 minutes ago.
We were because Hello Magazine's just milking the stuff that they paid for. All the photos they paid for, they're milking it. Like
if every time you were talked about, a bit of your soul or a bit of you got taken away, Princess Diana would be nothing but dust. And I mean, she is, but she'd be nothing but dust. You know what I mean? It's just the state of what these people are doing to her.
Yeah.
But what we're talking about here is, I want to just say that R-Pats is still in the game and he's killing it more and more the more he's in the game.
I've watched 3 R-Pats movies this year, which is more than the rest of my life combined. Because I don't think I've seen R-Pats in any other movie. I haven't seen Twilight. I don't even know what other movies he does in his spare time or just in his time.
There was a documentary called Robsessed, and it was about the obsession with Robert Pattinson during the Twilight era.
That's wild.
Yeah.
But because we were in the midst of that because the people that were obsessed were teenagers and we were teenagers.
We were teenagers. Like we had girls that we were, we had interests in and boys that we had interests in and they were saying, I'm team this, I'm team that, I'm team Edward, I'm
Team Adelaide City. That's who I play for, Like I'm just out in the field. I don't know. I know what these other teams. I've never played them on like Saturday morning.
Like do they do soccer? Or they do football. Like, I haven't seen them. What div are they in?
I haven't seen those teams.
Like, what div is Team Edward in? What's it? Team Edward? Team.
Who's Edward? Where'd you get Edward from?
Edward is R-Pats' character in.
Oh, that's the character.
That's his character.
Okay.
And then the werewolf man is another one.
You've lost me. Anyway, I've watched The Lighthouse, which we did on this podcast, which that is the wildest movie I've ever seen. That is, you want to... That's a movie that you put on, you watch with your friends, your partners, your family, whatever, and you just... It's almost like you're on an acid trip without any sort of hallucinogenics at all.
If you watch that with someone, you have to break up with them after. Because like you feel dirty now.
You've been through things with that person that...
But what was the other movie you watched?
The other movie, Good Time.
Right.
Yeah, which was interesting because I watched that after I watched Uncut Gems.
Yeah.
Which was a confusing movie, and I was trying to work out what was going on. We're hardly talking about the Batman, but
Good Time or
whatever.
Uncut Gems?
Uncut Gems. That was a wild movie, and I was like, what does it all mean?
Yeah, yeah.
What does it all mean? Is it, the gems? Is it what, Adam Sandler? Is it because he used to be funny, but then he wasn't, and now he's dead? And then I watched Good Time, which was by the
Safdie brothers.
The Safdie brothers.
Yeah.
Bro, they know how to make films.
They
are films.
But they know how to make a heart racing film.
Bro, but it's heart racing, and you get to the end of both of those films, and there's no resolution. It's just the main character is,
It's sadness.
a bit of a dirtbag, and it's like, well, this is what happens to these people. This man dies, this dude goes to jail, and you just sit with that, and you're just like, man, that's just life.
And someone was John Safdie's muse when he wrote Uncut Gems. So like that is really what we have to think about, and that's the reason why that movie works that way.
What was that?
Because there's a muse that allows that picture to happen.
What do you mean a muse?
It's just what it is. But Vincent,
what do you mean? What do you mean?
Let's get into the Batman.
No. What do you mean? It was just a muse, as in like he had someone he was trying to.
So
be involved with, or like Muse the band.
Not the hit band Muse. It's not the hit band Muse from like the mid 2000s.
No,
not the hit band Muse, who did like "Silence Is Deafening" or some song about silence. White Noise. So the person that plays Adam Sandler's love interest in Uncut Gems, she also dated, I can't remember her name, but she also dated Kanye West for a bit.
Okay.
And there's this interview where she said herself, I was high off the edibles, right? And this person's saying something about being a muse and whatnot. And she was like, I was John Safdie's muse when he wrote Uncut Gems. Yeah.
So this is the part of meme culture that I just have not,
dude. I've
not been involved with. That sounds hilarious,
dude. That's in the show notes. Hilarious.
That's in the show notes. Hilarious.
Yeah.
All right. So I thought that this was a serious thing. That like, man, like that was his muse, and now like she left him in the dust, bro. Like Princess Diana.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, look, she might have because she was with Kanye for some time. Yeah. Something Fox. Julia Fox. Julia Fox. I believe.
Yeah, okay. Well, anyway, those movies are wild. Robert Pattinson, he's a good actor.
Yeah. And, a lot of people were worried because they skipped this entire period of Robert Pattinson. They were thinking Twilight coming into Batman is what they were thinking when Robert Pattinson got announced as the Batman. But I well and truly think that for this era of Batman, for year 2 era, because this is his second year as being the crime fighter, there's no one who could have done it better.
Look, there might have been someone who could have done it better.
There could have been someone.
What you're trying to say, and I will agree with, this is peak. This is peak for me. This is peak Batman. I have loved every single Batman that's come out that I've seen, apart from the George Clooney one, because that's top tier trash.
Yeah, but when did you watch it for the first time? Because I loved that movie as a child growing up. I loved all. I will say,
but that's because you weren't cultured when you were a child.
I was cultured.
You weren't a man of the world. Yeah, that's right.
Culture. Yeah,
yeah, that's right. And Greek culture will have you liking things like George Clooney and his Batman nipples.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, we all got them, so let's show them off, right? Free it, free you. Free me, free you. But what we're going to talk about here is the Batman. So you're saying that most of the Batman movies you have enjoyed, and not only just enjoyed but loved.
Yeah, I mean, we've done our top 5 movies or top 10 movies or whatever we did.
Yeah.
And The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises were either The Dark Knight was either, I think it was number 2.
Yeah.
And Dark Knight Rises was either in there or as an honorable mention.
Mm-hmm.
And Batman Begins is in the top 10.
Batman Begins is killer.
Batman Begins because it begun.
And also Batman vs Superman, people say that that's not a good movie.
That's an amazing movie.
Me and you were just...
Ben Affleck, he's a killer Batman as well.
Prior to that movie even coming out, we were on board.
bro, you put someone in the Batman suit, I'm on board.
I'm on board.
As long as it doesn't have nipples showing.
Yeah.
Because that's
a bit much, isn't it?
Well, it's like, why would you do that?
Like the only time you do
that's like putting nipples on a t-shirt.
I mean, people do it, man.
But dude, like seriously, like someone's going to a work meeting and you just like you're going to a job interview and the dude interviewing you has got nipples on his shirt. He's got like a nice Ralph Lauren shirt. He's got nipples on his shirt, and that's not.
Yeah, I mean, it is his.
It's a bit unsettling.
Attire. It's his business attire.
That's right.
But he's not. I mean, in that movie, he does, go to like balls and things like that. He's at functions. But usually Batman's not going to functions. He's just beating the snot out of people, right? I was thinking the other day about so let's just get into the hits and the misses so we stay on Batman for a bit.
What were you thinking about the other day?
About Batman. This is what I'm going to continue. I was thinking about just the fight scenes in this particular movie. And the first one being when Batman is introducing not only himself but also Gotham. And he's introducing himself in that period as being, he strikes fear, or the logo itself, his logo strikes fear into people.
And all the criminals are looking to the darkness because they don't know if he's creeping.
Yeah. And that almost prevents them from, doing their
Committing crimes, yeah.
And there's the scene where there's the people on the railway and they've been just going around just doing world-star business, just knocking people out. Which I mean is despicable, and that's something that actually happens in the real world, which is scary, right? That people film these sorts of things. But these people chase this man out of the train, and they're initiating their friend into that space. And just as he's about to, potentially punch him, he's hesitant. The Batman comes out the shadows.
But the best is because it shows that is honestly one of the best intros. Something in the way, because there's something in the way, and it could be Batman.
There's something in the way. Well, something in the way, that's where it finished. That's the last bit of that, right? Once that finishes.
Yeah, something like that. But anyway, that was that intro sequence of, he's talking about La Bra and vengeance.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's just going, criminals doing criminal things. And then it just changed. The shot goes to just some sort of dark spot. The people doing spray painting things. The spray paint can goes into the dark room, and they're just like standing there like stum mullets.
Yeah.
Because they see the Batman scene, they're like, he's out here. He's out here. He's on the prowl.
Well, you would be, right? If you were in Gotham City and you just saw a man that broke bones, because that's what he did. So in this initial fight scene, the first guy that comes up to him goes to piece him up.
As if the next bloke would be like, yeah, I reckon I'll give it a crack.
Yeah, I reckon I got this guy, actually. Size for size, pound for pound, I think I'm the better fighter, I put more effort into this, right? My training camp was good, it was a good 6 months, good training camp. But this is what these people thought. But what I was trying to get at was like when I rewatched that, because I rewatched it, I've rewatched this several times.
Yeah.
Not just in full. So I probably rewatched this. I've watched this 4 times in full, and then just like have gone and skipped through bits.
Yeah.
But I was on a plane rewatching this, and all that just kept going into my head was just he beat the breakfast sandwiches out of these people. I don't know, but that sounds like a funny thing. Like, imagine you were in a fight and you just told someone, like, what happened? Like, someone was like, what happened? You're like, I just beat the breakfast sandwich out of him.
This is another situation like that meme that you showed me. My brother in Christ, I need a whole foot long or something.
No, it's when you hate Subway, but like my brother in Christ, you're the one that designed the sandwich.
I still don't really get that much, but he might beat the breakfast sandwich out of someone.
And it's the morning as well, because it's late night morning sort of business when they do it. But that opening fight scene, the opening scene with the Riddler sets the scene of what this movie is going to be.
Yeah.
And it's not like, oh, this is dark. It's not like that. It's just saying this is real.
Yeah, that was one thing that I really appreciated about this movie because, me, I'm a man of immersion. I'm a man of, environments.
Dude, if you see a place and you feel like you're in there, that's when you've enjoyed a movie.
That's what and this feels like Gotham City.
Yeah.
This feels like the most, and I've been reading a lot of comics. I've read pretty much all of the, historical best Batman comics like Dark Knight Returns and the Killing Joke, but a bunch of other ones.
And the Joker
from old
that
ones.
you
the Joker. a whole bunch of other ones like Batman White Knight. There's The Long Halloween. A whole bunch of comics.
Which is takes a lot of
like Batman Year One as well, similar. And this really feels like they got Gotham City right. Yeah. It feels dirty. It feels like there's crime, and at any point, the Batman could just come in and beat the breakfast sandwich out of some fool. And that is what I think. I mean, even the Penguins Club, the 32 below or 46 below or whatever it is, it's below.
I'm pretty sure that's the movie with Paul Walker with the dogs. I think
the
that's
sled
what you're
dogs.
thinking,
Yeah, whatever.
I think that's like 36 below.
Okay, whatever. Well, maybe it's not 36 below. Maybe it's not quite that below.
Yeah.
But just everything about this, even the kind of the narrative of dirty politicians, corrupt crime, they did that really well because they did do that a bit in Dark Knight Rises, in Dark Knight. There was a bit of that.
Yeah.
But it was I'll say it felt very comic book. It felt really it felt like a movie. This almost felt like the most realistic you can be in a movie without obviously being a documentary.
That's right. And I think the reason that it's like that, and I know that I was trying to think if this is the first movie that Batman has started his Batmaning, and it's not, because there is the Batman Begins, which is the origin, but this is the Batman. This is this world's Batman finding out all these things about the world and getting right into the nitty gritty of it. I think that the Dark Knight series was more so like surface level. So it was like, all right, what do gangsters do? They sit in a dark room, there's smoke, there's pool tables in the background, they do meetings. They're in the Italian restaurant, they're doing meetings. They're here, they're there, they're in a car, they're doing meetings. But this is just like, these are politicians who got wives and kids at home, and they're out here doing drops. And they're in a club and they're telling all their secrets to the people because they're just high for something.
But even the realism of Selena Kyle's girlfriend there, or partner, or whatever. What was her name? Anya?
Yeah, Anya Taylor-Joy. Yeah, the actor. But no, Anya.
Okay,
Anya
I can't remember what her name was. But that whole thing, obviously she was a liability to them, and she straight up just got killed.
Yeah.
And I don't know, obviously that happens in other movies, but it just felt less of a comic book movie and more of a good film kind of thing. And that's one of the things that I really liked about this movie is it felt really as realistic as it could be, given that there's a guy dressing up as a bat and beating a breakfast sandwich out of people.
And I think as well, what I think puts this above, what I really liked about this and what puts it above the Dark Knight series for me, is that in the Batman Begins, Batman has had training with Ra's al Ghul. Right? He's trained with the League of Shadows. He's a man who knows what he's doing. Whereas in this movie, this is his second year. He's figuring out things on his own. It's just him and Alfred.
That's right. And Alfred's been helping him because he was Secret Service or whatever he was.
He was doing Secret Service thing. He was doing Pennyworth things. But literally, his plan a lot of the time, and he does have a plan, but when he goes up to those people in the subway system at the start, my brother, where art thou, or whatever the meme was that you brought up before. and he beats the breakfast sandwiches out of people. He's genuinely just going up there, no plan. He's just beating people up, breaking bones, not really approaching it in a way that allows him to look like a hero. And that is why that person at the end is like, please don't hurt me, because he just brings fear and dread to all these people.
That's right. It feels like what your image of Batman is from kind of the narrative and what like he is the Dark Knight. He's the darkness. He's the night.
He's if it's Arabian Days, he's the Dark Knight.
He's Arabian.
Yeah. So the thing that I was trying to
realize I just said like he's the Dark Knight. He's the dark. He's the night.
Yeah, I mean you hit both on the head there.
That's right.
What I was trying to get at with that point was that he seems like he's not in a space that we've seen Batman's in the past. He seems like he's still working it out. And he's not composed. And this movie does a really good job of...
Sorry.
I was just saying, this movie does a really good job of building that up. And the reason it builds it up is because he starts actually talking with people outside of his world.
I've said this to you, and I've said this to most of the people that I've talked to this movie about. This movie is called The Batman.
The Batman.
Because it's about the Batman. I feel like all the other Batman movies, I haven't seen Batman 1989, which is probably, criminal at this point, given how much I enjoy Batman.
That's a good flick, man. That's
a good flick, Jack Nicholson and whatnot.
Yeah.
But this movie is about the Batman and him as an individual in this world. It's not about the heroes versus villains. It's not about, the bad guys, their plan to destroy the world and destroy Gotham. It's not about the comic book, he's got all the gadgets, he's got all the bits. It's about the Batman and his progression throughout the movie he starts off very, black and white. His thinking is very black and white. There's good people and there's bad people. And he is I guess he thinks he's a good person fighting the bad people. But as he, talks to Selena Kyle, he digs up more things. He finds out about his father, which is, that's just wild.
That's wild.
And, then he has some nice words with Alfred. And at the end, he kind of forms into the Batman, or like a more complete version of himself. He's just got to be the best him that he can be, and all that kind of stuff that people talk about.
And that's the most brightly lit scene as well, when he finally becomes the Batman. When he realizes that, when he's got the flare. When he's got the flare, not that just that bit, but like when they go out and he's on the roof.
Yeah.
And people actually like reaching out to him for them to get help from him, as opposed to like cowering away from him.
That's right. I do want to talk about that final scene in the thing, but we'll get to that later.
We'll get to that. The thing that I want to say very quickly, just before, because we could talk all day about Batman, and we will, but I really like this version of the Riddler. And the reason, it's very much like the movie Seven, and it's very much like,
but I think that brings out the best of Batman as a hero and Batman as a villain, and also, the Riddler as a villain, but also the narrative as a whole, because it fits into the realism. It's not like, the Riddler, here's a riddle, and like, if not, 6,000 random people are going to die because I've implanted them with a little chip that if I press this,
Yeah, the Riddler chip.
The Riddler chip.
And the other thing that I love about him is one of the best things, and I've sent you the Snapchat, but not many people have got the Snapchat. Is this dude's got like he's got just as many followers as the back catalogue.
Well, he's actually probably got slightly more. Yeah,
He's got more. But what I'm saying is he hasn't got that many, and he's just a regular dude.
Yeah,
who probably didn't know things were going to go this far.
Nah, this is honestly,
and Paul Dano plays like a tremendous role as the Riddler, because he's
good.
terrifying, but also hilarious at the same time. Like one of my cousins and I, we watched this movie together, and a bit that we both laughed at, or all of us laughed at really, and there's like, we're Greeks, so there's
like 40, 50 people.
We filled out a cinema, man. But the part that we laughed at was when there's two pictures, and one of it is his face with the Riddler mask on, and the next one is just like his face without the Riddler mask on. And they just both look like they're smiling,
I remember that.
It's when they finally uncover his...
hideout.
His hideout, which I saw something on Twitter. I'm on my Twitter lord now. I'm on there all the time. I get 0 likes, but I'm on there. He's always there. He's always in that. There's only like one shot in which you actually see him, but where his hideout was is above that. Paul Walker's club, the 63 below, whatever
with
it
dogs,
is.
with the sled dogs,
with the sled dog.
Yeah.
And there's a scene where it's like I don't know if they call it a long shot, but you can see a light switched on and someone looking down at the club.
Oh, wow.
And then someone posted that on Twitter, and the director said, yeah, that's him. That's him. He's been waiting and he's been plotting everything from there. That's why he always has the great photos. That's why he knows exactly what's going on, because he's just staking out that club every single night. Can I talk about some hits real quick? Because that just
talk about
me.
Some hits.
The collar bomb scene.
Oh yeah, that's freaking nuts.
We'll talk about the car scene because that's going to take some time. But that whole, I've rewatched this scene specifically a bunch of times, but the whole memorial scene when Bruce Wayne, for the first time in like ages, comes out, and you feel the tension when he walks in there, because not only is there's Carmine Falcone there, there's all the other people who are. Any one of them at this point could be the Riddler just standing there, and we later do see the Riddler just straight up standing there looking. But when you hear those screams from outside and the car just pulls on through, and Robert Pattinson takes him out, takes the kid out the way, whatever. But that collar bomb scene, the dude's sitting there for ages, and then later that night the Batman walks in, And he starts, they're on the phone. There's like 20 seconds
No,
before
and there's 6,000 people outside of the thing, and they're looking at the screen, and the Batman just rocks up out of the darkness, like perfect, and it's like, bro, what? And they're talking to, what's his name? Jim, what's your boy doing there?
And they're looking at, like, the guys are looking at him. They're trying to figure out what's going on in there. And initially I was like, is the Riddler like coming? But no, it's Batman. That scene is amazing. And I love that. This is why the Batman is not, you know, you can tell that he's year 2 because he's sitting there while this bomb is 5 seconds from exploding, asking this man to tell him the secrets. And then he gets blown up. But there's something about that scene. And I think it also is, and this is something that my brother brought up. I thought I'd put it on Twitter at some point, but I did not. Or I may have just sent it to you. But Robert Pattinson coming in with the suit on, with the hair coming down, he looks like Leon Kennedy from the Resident Evil series.
I don't know who that is. But.
Oh, bro. It's whenever I see him now, I'm just like, that was the only person that they could have used for Leon Kennedy. And they have not used this man yet. It's amazing. The other bit that I like about that is just that a collar bomb is terrifying. The idea of a collar bomb. Like, imagine you just have a bomb on your neck and it's like your head's going to pop off at some point.
Yeah.
I remember there was like this unsolved mystery of this dude that just rocked up with the collar bomb. He's like, I don't know how I got this, but it's real. And the police were like, nah, I don't think it's real. And then bam, like head was off. Like man's head was off. But what I want to talk about is that next scene. So after the Batman gets knocked out,
and then Jim Gordon's fighting all the
when he goes into prison, that is one of the best. So when they go to try to take his mask off, and the Batman just jumps up and starts trying to piece up all these officers. Imagine just the heat and the tension going on in that space there. Imagine
being Robert Pattinson just waking up and there's all these police officers, and then you just wake up and start swinging.
Obviously, I wish like Batman was just on the run for the rest of the movie. He's not really on the run because later in the film he's mates with them all again. But that scene is probably one of my favorites as well because of that. Because it starts off, you don't know what's going to happen. Then something does happen. And then again, you're like, is Batman just every step that he takes is leading him to somewhere more dangerous.
That's right. And it really, every action he takes accentuates the fact that he's still in here. He's fresh.
He's fresh, man.
And he's
got CTE though.
I have 100% CTE. But he's half knows what he's doing, but half is just absolutely uncharted territory and he's just diving in head first. And it could be like a 15 centimeter pool. Like he don't know that, but he's so going in regardless.
Those long bat ears are just going to be like, they're going to be taken down a couple notches if he dives in head first.
Oh, man.
The other thing about the Batman that makes you know that he's fresh. So the Riddler, no one knows who it is, but Batman has an answer to everything. For example, when the first guy gets killed and they take his thumb, and they're like, we're looking for a USB port. And
thumb drive.
And what's his name?
Because the thing was drive.
Yeah. But Commissioner Gordon's like, what do you mean? And he brings a thumb out and it's got a USB to it. And he's like, thumb drive. If someone said that to me, they brought out this random thing, we're looking for a USB port, right? I would say you are the person that set this up because there's no other person that's going to, he's answering all the riddles before anyone else does.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the one, what happens to a liar when he dies? He lies still. That's fair enough. You could probably,
See, I can believe all that because, he's meant to be the world's greatest detective and whatever. But that's also what I think further differentiates this movie from other Batman is that there's not that much fighting in it.
No, there's only really the scene that we talked about with the breakfast sandwiches. There's the
one in the club.
The one in the club, well, that's killer when he comes in.
There's the one at Falcone's.
At Falcone's at the end.
And then there's the final fight scene.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple more that we missed. But there's not... Most of this movie is him just talking to heads and doing bits and pieces. But that's what I love that because he's just in there. He's just doing detective things. He's looking around at things. He's like, that's where the murder weapon was. Like, have a look at this fella.
Well, Batman's a brawler, but first and foremost, he's a detective.
Yeah.
And as you said, he's the world's best detective.
Yeah, and it felt like this movie wasn't just like, we're going to have a whole bunch of action scenes. He's going to have all these gadgets. It's going to be amazing because it's just going to be crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's just going to be piecing people up every 5 minutes. Which,
Yeah, I don't want to see that.
that's a Batman versus Superman thing. That's what you go to Batman versus Superman for. You know, you go to see him, even though there's not really that many, but you go to see him just snap a man's neck just onto the ground, just kill a man. The other great thing is that because this is almost pitched and the way that the movie flows is almost like a thriller leading into maybe even horror movie, is that you've got enough emotion just based on that. You're already like concerned about, man, who's going to be next? Like, is Alfred, is he going to be in the rat trap? Is this going to happen? Is that going to happen? That you're not even wanting there to be more action sequences because you're just wanting this to unfold.
Yeah, it's definitely more of a thriller.
And when you do see the action sequences, that makes them even better. And they're not that long either.
No.
So like that
but
one
they're very well done.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's not action for the sake of action because it's a superhero. It feels like it's to progress the plot and to kind of build on from previous scenes, like the one in the club. Like, he's out there to get answers. Like this he's there for answers. That's all he's doing. No one's standing in his way.
Dude, he gets shot in the back with a shotgun or a rifle or something, and he's just throwing things at people. He's grabbing them. That was fantastic. And also just the introduction of Colin Farrell as the Penguin in that scene.
Oh,
You know, I see you met the twins, and he starts going off, and he's just like, my goodness, this man. I didn't know it was Colin Farrell. Like, I mean, I did know because I seen the cast list, but you wouldn't know it was him.
I didn't know it was Colin Farrell until you just told me then.
That's exactly right. But also just that is the Penguin.
That is the Penguin.
From
that's
the
right.
Penguins that I've read of, that is just, you know, he doesn't have to be a dude that, you know, like Danny DeVito style looks like a penguin, like he did in the.
Doesn't have to wear the suit, so it makes him look like a penguin. No.
Yeah, he can just be a dude who is, you know, who's a businessman, who's a club casino owner, who's just shonky, and he's built a bit differently, which he is. And later he does the penguin walk when his legs are together. But that is more realistic and more setting. You know, if you rocked up looking like Danny DeVito and the Penguin eating raw fish in this film, it wouldn't work.
No, that's right. That's right.
Well, let's quickly talk about, because we're like 32 minutes in.
Hey, we can go for as long as we want, bro.
Let's talk about so speaking of the Penguin, they follow the Penguin and his goons to that warehouse because they wanted to get answers about, you know, El Rata.
El Rata Elada.
El Rata Elada, you know?
Rat with wings.
Rat with wings, but it's a La Rata, you know?
Yeah.
The Batmobile scene. The Batmobile scene. The Batmobile scene. So first of all, I don't know. I don't really like the Tumbler, which is the
I really
Knight
liked
one.
it. I thought it was so cool.
I don't really like the Tumbler. The Batman vs Superman one, you know, that's neither here nor there. The Batman 89 one is killer.
It's too long, bro.
Yeah, but that's killer though.
Oh, it's killer, yeah.
And with the fire at the back. And then the original like 60s Batman, the Batmobile with like the two like spots, one for Batman, one for Robin. That's just classic.
That's classic.
That's classic. You can't say
go
anything
past
about that, right? But
what
this
I
is
will
probably my
say
favorite.
about the Tumblr as well is, you know, I was talking to some of the fine folk over at Greenlight Comics. If you're ever in Adelaide, definitely check out that place because that is a top tier comic book shop and just like top tier.
And that's like well-versed folk. Like I was on their
well-versed, yeah.
Instagram page the other
I think
day.
there's a couple people there that do podcasts. Probably most likely better than ours. Like, I can almost guarantee they're better than ours.
They got TerraVision coming out of there.
That's right, which is horror stuff.
based.
And then another one, which I can't remember what the name is, but they do just content stuff.
They do content. But here's the thing about what they got going on there. Like they'll pull out a comic book and they'll be like, hey, I've been reading this comic book. It's about two people that go to school. They're doing school things. And I'm like, that's crazy that's a comic book. But they've read it.
I mean, people make comic books. Like, they keep making them and they're not going to stop.
How can you stop?
Can't stop.
If you're making money from something, how are you going to stop?
But what I will say is, you know, I've spoken to them, and one of the individuals there was talking to me about how much he does not like the Dark Knight trilogy.
Yeah.
Because he said it is so unrealistic that they don't know it's Bruce Wayne when he's rocking up with like a Batwing, this military equipment. Like, people know that Wayne Enterprises gave the army these prototypes or whatever. So it's, you know, and the more he said, you know, I'm not going to butcher his
You're
word,
paraphrasing it.
but absolutely. Upon hindsight, I'm thinking, yeah, that's of course they should know it's him. It's completely obvious.
But in this one, you're trying to say that you wouldn't necessarily know.
No,
No,
not necessarily, because Bruce Wayne is even more of a recluse in this one.
Yeah.
Also, he's not as charismatic, I guess, or not as much of a people person as Christian Bale.
Well, he's not on yachts, and he's not doing Conor McGregor things on yachts.
No,
right? He's not doing McGregor fast. Or McGregor slay. That's just what McGregor does on yachts. He just does like workouts, and he's like, I'm on a yacht, but I'm doing a workout.
Well, he's got to stay fit, I guess.
I mean, he's got to stay fit, and like cocaine will do it for you. You know, they'll keep things racing.
But what I'll say is, this is my favorite Batmobile.
Yeah, 100%.
Because it's just raw. They've just found some car, they've hotted it up, they've put a big jet engine in the back, and they've said, this is it. It's the Batmobile.
Yeah. And when he's driving that thing, I know that he had to get it there.
Oh, man.
But when he's driving that thing, you as the viewer are thinking, is this a product? Like, has this been done before? Has this man put on the boost?
That's right, happen? Exactly. You're questioning whether this could be just Alfred's there with the degreaser and the coolant, and he's like, well, you know what? Like I've done a bit of mechanic things before. Let's just see what happens.
Let's make it work.
And they're like dropping a Boeing 747 engine just straight into the back. But like, well, the bolts are the same.
Like if you saw that car, right, and you saw the Boeing 747 engine in the back, would you say that's a classic, or it will be one day?
Oh, it will be one day for sure.
Yeah. So that whole scene is intense. The music is crazy. I've listened to the soundtrack many a time, and when that part comes up on the soundtrack, I can't remember exactly what the song is called, but that gets my heart racing. When I'm in a car, I'm thinking like I might. You're
looking behind you, like
I might get knocked off the road.
Well, I'll tell you.
But the scene finishes off and wraps itself up with just a massive crash, explosions, things going on, craziness, and then.
Let me just, before you, because I know you're going to get to, let me just say what I was doing in this moment, because I didn't watch it in the cinemas.
You didn't, man.
I didn't go to the cinemas because of COVIDicus things, you know, and so I watched this in my own home.
Yeah.
My partner was out, so I had the. You
had the iPad to yourself.
No, I wasn't on the iPad. I was on the TV. All right, I was watching on the TV, and it's a long movie, but the advantage of being home is I can move around.
Oh yeah.
There was a lot of pacing going on in that living room, and when that chase scene happened, I was standing up on my couch.
On the actual couch.
On the actual couch. This is not like, oh, you know, I'm doing this for content. This is no word of a lie, because I was that excited. I was standing up on my couch. I knew what was going to happen. Yeah. I knew the Batmobile was going to come flying through the fire. And they held it for the perfect amount of time.
Yeah.
Because the Penguin's looking back. He's excited. And it's just still looking back. And I'm there jumping up and down on my couch. I'm like, no way, no way, no way. Bro, this thing comes flying through the fire. I got my hands on him. I go, no way. I'm like, look, this is film. I'm looking at Scorsese next to me. He's looking the same as me.
He's up on top of the couch.
He's on top of the couch.
And
that was one of the greatest film moments I've experienced.
It was crazy. And it finishes, so that scene finishes off.
I was about to say with the...
So the Penguin's car is flipped. And he's looking out and the camera's upside down. And you see the Batman coming out of the Batmobile and walking, and it's raining, there's fire behind him, the wind's blowing his cape. It is honestly... If there was something that you could, if you know how I say this movie is a movie to put on in the background, that frame is a frame to put on your wall.
That's something that you have in like the biggest print you can get.
The biggest print you can get.
Yeah,
that is an amazing shot. That's like that gave me chills. And I was, I watched this in the cinemas for the first time. I went there, right, and I was frustrated while watching it. And I'll tell you why. Because we've got scenes like this. And heads are on their phones because, like, people that go to the cinema these days, it's not fine folk that go to the cinema anymore. You don't pay your 2 shillings. You take your girl out on a date.
You get your top hat, your monocle.
You don't do that anymore.
No,
like, that was the good old days. Now heads go in there. They play on their phones. They're talking to each other, especially young, like teenagers.
For real?
I'm talking about in the Batman, there was these two, and I remember what they look like as well. If I see them at the cinemas again.
Hey, if Apple sees you at the cinemas again,
but I was
he's
so
going to beat the
tempted.
breakfast sandwich out of you
Now, the thing is, these were teenagers, so I can't I can't.
in a few years.
But in a few years, I'll track them down. I had a bag of Maltesers, and the amount of times I took out a Malteser and I was just like, literally, I had it in my hand. I was like, I'm going to throw this at one of these dudes' heads. I'm just going to throw it at his head. And if he turns around and asks something, I'm gonna pour my whole bottle of water on him. Like, that's how mad I got, because during that scene,
Oh man,
one of the most exciting scenes in modern day cinema, right? I'm talking cinema.
cinema. That's
Right?
cinema.
These heads were talking. These heads were laughing about, Josie loves Jeffrey.
Bro, who gives a rat's shilling about Josie and Jeffrey when you got this content on the... Nah, that's...
And plus, you're paying $20.
That's the other thing. Like,
$20,
that's not cheap.
No. These kids, they don't make their own money,
They don't make their own money.
Yeah, they don't have back catalog money like we do.
I have that Patreon money. Shout out you, David.
David, if you're listening.
And Jack. And
Stewie.
And Stewie. And Jared.
And Jared. That's it.
That's it.
We had a lot of people. Their
people.
cards,
the cards that got declined,
savings.
and that's, we've got to respect
That's because,
that.
you got check-ins
And you got the savings.
and you got the savings. And they had it in the savings, but then, the bank said, you can't do this and buy a house. So
No, that's right. And 100% we respect that.
Yeah. Batman, though, fuck, top film. Hey.
100%. The cinematography in this film is unbelievable. So many of the shots are ones that you could frame.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It is a beautiful film. There's almost too much of this film that is that upper, like top quality. And I feel like if it wasn't a superhero movie,
it would have more.
It would have more credit. It would get more credit to it.
Absolutely. Well, this is the thing, right? Just think about this. This is how bad the world is in regards to cinema. So, Spider-Man No Way Home got nominated for an Oscar for best special effects, things like that. Best, all that kind of business. Eternals came out the same year. But because people didn't like Eternals didn't get put on, but Spider-Man No Way Home did. Okay? Just think about that now. Remember how beautiful Eternals looked?
Eternals was another one of the movies where everywhere they went, but I don't care if they put the big letters saying London, 1941. It looked that good. I'm happy for them to do that.
That's exactly right. The other thing that I was going to say, which now I've forgotten. Because
about Oscars. Someone's getting Oscars.
Here's the thing. I got a theory for everyone. I got a theory. I had to go off the point because I forgot about it. But I got a theory for you, Vincent. This is my theory, and I don't think anyone said this theory out here. The only people that know that Batman is Bruce Wayne is Alfred and Bruce Wayne himself. Until the end of that movie. So when Carmine Falcone dies in this movie, or I'm assuming he dies. He might not actually die. Yeah,
he definitely dies.
He looks at he looks at Batman, and the shot goes from Carmine, and he's looking Batman dead in the eyes, and Batman's looking back on him with a shocked face, because Batman's realized that he brought the rat into the light, and that meant that he got killed. Carmine Falcone got killed. So really all the answers that he wanted, he'll never get. But in that moment in which Carmine Falcone was dying, he knew that Bruce Wayne was Batman, because what he saw in that face was the same face that he saw when he came into the Wayne Manor when he got shot.
I mean,
and he saw Bruce Wayne on the steps.
That's just that's just the equilibrium of life.
That's the equilibrium.
Like Thomas Wayne saved his life, and Bruce Wayne
killed him.
Got rid of him.
Dude, that's masterful thinking.
There's so much in this movie that is masterful, and one of my biggest gripes with the film was the what's called tool, the carpet tool.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And the first time I watched, I was going, "That's how coincidental that the guy there, his dad was a
Martinez.
Yeah, his dad was a carpet man.
Yeah,
and he knew and then uncovered everything. But I rewatched and I go, that has nothing. That doesn't change anything in the outcome of anything.
No, because
All it does is it fills in the narrative. It just fills in a bit more of the, this is what's happening. And then which is, I'm sure there are faults with the film. I'm sure there are.
Man, yeah.
I am someone who can't see. I mean, I walked out at Star Wars Episode 9. I was like, bro, that was unbelievable. And then you listed, 58 things that were wrong with this movie. And then I was like, that was actually a terrible movie.
Yeah. And then someone rang us at the time and he said it's like beating a dead horse. And I was like, let's not talk about that because like, it's PC over here. But this is the thing, right? That Martinez guy is one of the best characters in the film for these reasons. When he sees Batman at the start, he's like, get this man out of here. I hate this man. Then when he sees Bruce Wayne, he's like, hey, it's Bruce Wayne. That's the duality of man.
Well, I mean, what about the twins?
I mean, the twins, that's truly the duality of man.
Because there's bits like that in there that are not really funny, but they're a bit comedic. And
well, I mean, that is meant to be funny. Both of those scenes are meant to be funny.
Yeah, but it's not
like,
hey, this is funny. Like, look at this. This is hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, this is crap. Tony, you potty mouth. It's not like that stuff, Age of Ultron things.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Of course.
Language,
that's right. One of the worst lines in any of the MCU.
Yeah. And they try to play it off as if it's like, this is fun. But it's not like, very funny.
No, that's right. Yeah, no. Like, no one's laughing, ha, ha, ha. They're just like, that's funny.
Yeah.
They're just pointing and laughing.
And that's actually what I said was a quote from the hit movie Wog Boy from like the 90s.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. The Italian guy says it in there, so like, you should know this.
Oh, I haven't seen Wog Boy.
But he's a pervert in the movie, so like, he's not like good to hang around with, Hey, let's get into whatever we want to get into. But what I want to talk about before you get into that is this. What's next?
No, that's not. What's next is not now. We've not finished talking about the Batman.
About the Batman yet.
No, I got to talk about more specifically how the character developed over the course of the film.
You talked about that.
I didn't talk about it in depth.
He's the dark and he's the night.
He's the dark. Well, I mean, I've talked about it now, obviously. No, so at the start, he was very black and white thinking. There's good guys, there's bad guys.
And that's when he brings up while you're looking at
people getting messages. Why does it? No one texts me. No one ever texts me. No one ever messages me. Anytime I don't want to get messages, i.e. now, and when I'm in a movie theater when I can't reply, I get messages.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
And they're serious messages always, aren't they? They're like, you need to reply to this now.
That's right. They're like, we're about to foreclose on your house. Like, we're here right now. People yelling. No?
Like your partner, we've literally just thrown her on the street because like we need to foreclose on this. Like it's foreclosure.
I'm doing a podcast. Can we not wait?
It's not FORE. It's like it's foreclosure. It's to be closed. Like FOR. That's what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I didn't really get that joke that you're doing, but
like if it's just foreclosure.
Can I keep going with my point, or you got something to say about this?
To add to your point,
that no one ever texts me.
No, that's why he says to Selena Kyle, maybe she was a bad person. Maybe she got what she deserved.
That was exactly what.
Anya.
That's exactly the follow on from that.
Yeah.
Is when Bruce Wayne or Batman is talking to Selena Kyle. Also, Zoe Kravitz in this movie, absolutely top tier Catwoman.
Well, you say words funny, man.
What's her name?
Zoe Kravitz.
Zoe Kravitz.
Kravitz.
It's doesn't have a thing on one of them?
Yeah, an eye has a dot on it.
Yeah, Kravitz. I'm definitely correct in this situation. How can we do a serious podcast? Honestly.
I'm going to search up Zoe Kravitz. Yeah, on the E. There's an umlaut on the E.
Oh, that's the wrong part of the name.
But that's in Zoe. But that's all right. Like
anyway.
You weren't wrong.
Anyway, top tier character, top tier actress.
Fantastic.
Bruce Wayne and Selena Kyle, Batman and Selena Kyle were talking about Anya. Is that the person's name?
I think it is Anya. I can look it up right now.
Look it up, because I don't want to disrespect this person who died in this movie and is a fictional character by misrepresenting their name, like Zoe Kravitz.
Also, James Gordon's a bold man in real life, and that's cinema. That's cinema.
No, he could have fooled me. I mean, they did fool me. I thought he had a full head of hair.
I thought he did, man. Annika.
I said Anya.
Yeah.
Anya's from something else. I've heard that somewhere else. Anyway.
Wait, hold on a second. Is there a young Batman in this movie? Like a picture of when they're the Hush, the Riddler's got that thing about.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why. Because it just shows young Bruce Wayne here. I'm thinking, I've never seen
a young Bruce Wayne.
Okay. No, go on.
So, yeah, they're talking, and Selena Kyle was talking about how we need to get Anita back. What was her name? Annika. Far out.
Yeah.
Annika.
Yeah.
And Bruce Wayne saying, hey, she got messed up with the wrong crowd. Like, that's her own fault, essentially.
Yeah. She got what she deserved.
She got what she deserved.
Yeah.
And Selena Kyle's saying, you're obviously rich.
Yeah.
Because you obviously don't have any perspective on what people that don't have what you have, or even marginally close to what you have, are forced to do because of their situation. And that was like almost the questioning of himself, of what he's doing in that moment. And then the lines are being blurred a bit, and then they're further blurred when the Riddler, takes a shot at Bruce Wayne and Thomas Wayne, the renewal fund, and he obviously finds out about Carmen Falcone, that when he was talking to Carmen Falcone, they were in cahoots because, Carmen Falcone did something to this reporter because he was trying to protect his mother or whatever the situation was.
Yeah, there was bits going on, political things.
Political things, for sure. All right, Zoe Kravitz. And so the lines are getting blurred. Everything's just grey. I don't know how many shades there are, but it's grey. I don't know whose nipples are on whose at the outside of whose costume.
Go with your point.
I'm going.
We're 56 minutes and you're talking about 50 Shades of Grey. We're 56 minutes.
56
Shades of Grey.
David, if you're still watching, I'm sorry, man. But then he's got that time with Alfred. He's talking about, he's not a bad man. He just had a moment of, this is what he thought was the right decision. It ended up being wrong.
Yeah. And
then at the end, when he is there, he's just, I don't know where I'm going with this point because I've kind of lost myself in.
That's right, because I made the joke.
I've kind of lost it, but that's right. I also didn't bring what I've written down, which is a shame.
I know.
But at the end, he's there for the people. He's like, I've got to be here for everyone. I've definitely lost my point, but
he becomes a man of Gotham, and
he
not
becomes
just
a man of Gotham.
Because at the start he even says, "This is my family's legacy. What I'm doing is for us." Whereas he didn't paint the bigger picture of what Gotham needs, and what Gotham needs is a hero that actually protects those who are downtrodden, who are going through it hard.
Yeah.
And that's what I think what happens at the end when he starts to realize, actually, I'm here for the people of Gotham, not to do what my father wanted to do, not to do this, not to do that, not to clean out Gotham.
He's building his own legacy.
That's right, but to actually just help the people who are in amongst the mess, as opposed to clean out the mess. Because when you start cleaning out mess, you start cleaning out people who would just happen to be there by circumstance.
Yeah, that's right. And then, oh man, but that scene when they're in the stadium and everything's water and he's leading people out with the flare.
Yeah.
That was because it's very symbolic. I mean, it's not, I don't think it's very, this is like a hidden message, but obviously he is not the darkness now. He's the light that, people were to follow. He's not like the Batman signal. They see that light and everyone's hiding, but they see that light, they're going to him because he's,
that's true. That's a good point.
He's there to help the people. And just that, because it's, the top-down shot, you've got him in the water leading the people out of the darkness to the light. I mean, that's just cinema things. That's absolutely symbolic things. The curtains were blue, bro.
The curtains were blue, that's cinema. And I just love that, the first person to reach out to him is the kid that he met at the start of the movie when his dad died. As in when the kid's dad died, and how there's that connection between those two, and the look on the face that the kid gives him. He knows that look because he's experienced it. Even just that alone was fantastic. That the kid was finally like, I feel safe with where we're going now.
Man, that's honestly that that was an emotional ending to a movie, especially the end where, he's helping just folk go up to the chopper to get him to safety. And he's there and he's dirty and he's torn, and it's just like he's there day in, day out. He's just helping. He's doing what he can. He's not out there trying to fight the looters or whatever. Yeah. So I think, did they talk about it? Like I don't know. Anyway.
The other thing that I think is great is that when him and Selena Kyle do go their separate ways, where he's like, I could just go and just live with like Selena Kyle. And that's Selena Kyle thinks. Speaking of Selena Kyle, though, this is a point that I just thought of then. You know how you said before...
Bro, we're an hour in, bro.
You know how you said before that she was like, oh, I know that you're rich because you said this about, Anya Taylor-Joy, right? Annika is her name. She didn't know he was rich because he has like a car with a jet at the back, and he's wearing a full-on suit with like all these gadgets. Like, she should have known this for other reasons.
No, she said he grew up rich like you. It doesn't mean just because he's got the gadgets now. I don't think it was like, bro, you rich? Bro, you rich?
I thought you'd say like, this Fortune 500 company.
How come we can't afford no ceiling? That's what he's saying at the top of that building that's not built yet.
Dude, that guy gets the snot beaten out of him. That cop.
But even that as a character development for Selena Kyle.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
because there's no coming back from that.
No, that's right. Here's the thing that we need to talk about now, so we can finish this off. What do you want to see next in this universe?
I have been thinking a lot about endings to things and how things are left in terms of media, books, TV shows, cinema.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of things go past where they're not peak, but they end after where they should end. And honestly, I feel like if they never did any more Robert Pattinson Batman, I would be 100% satisfied.
Well, I mean, that's success right there.
Well, not even that. It's because you don't want to leave. I feel like this is personally, my personal preference in the things that I consume, but I like having questions.
Yeah.
I used to want to know all the answers, but now I like having questions. I want to know, what's Batman going to do now? Like, what's next for him in his, plight to save Gotham or whatever. I'll never know that, but I know that he's on the right path. It's like you leave the audience with the question of what's going to happen, but also with the knowledge that there is hope for this character and the city and the people in the city, because you can see, the upwards trajectory.
And also, this movie it's a start and finish story. There's no after credit scenes.
No,
I mean there is like obviously.
There's the Joker one. There's 100% going to be another film. It made too much money for them not to do it.
But the reality is you could close the book here and you could say this was a Batman story.
You absolutely could.
And we can do another Batman story in 10 years' time with, Timothy Chalamet,
Timothy Chalamet, absolutely. Get him and Anya DeJulian, John. I can't remember what your name you said.
Anya Taylor-Joy. They're same like era of star.
But this is another conversation that I had with some individuals at the comic book shop that I'm now actually just forgetting what I was just about to get on with.
Shadow Comics.
No. So the MCU is obviously everything's connected. Everything follows on. We're going to keep going until they stop making money, essentially.
Yeah. Which they won't.
DC tried to copy that. Now they've kind of found some success with Joker and the Batman. I don't know. Have they done any other standalone so far?
The Suicide Squad were attempted. I guess they're not standalone.
They're not really
Harley
standalone.
Quinn is Harley Quinn. Would you consider that?
I haven't even seen that.
And the
Birds of Prey.
Birds of Prey, yeah.
I haven't seen that one.
So that's a decent film.
But I'm saying they
haven't.
I feel like going for another MCU. A lot of people are fatigued about the MCU. I'm not. If they bring out a movie every week, I would be here for 100%.
I'm not.
But you're not here for it, or you're not fatigued?
I'm fatigued and I'm not here for it.
Oh, you don't want any more movies?
Like, if they just took a break for a bit, I'd be happy.
Oh, yeah, I would be happy with that.
I'm keen for maybe Fantastic Four. But then if it's going to be like Fantastic Four and it's like Star-Lord, I don't give a sugar's honey iced tea about that, right?
Yeah, see, I'm here for 100%. But I feel like DC trying to copy that formula is
It led them down the wrong path.
Well, it's not. It's not doing good things for them. And now doing these more standalone bits here and there, I feel like, give directors control and give creative teams control over what they want to do and just trust them. Obviously, it's hard because,
And they have the opportunity to make it
big
so
business.
different as well. And
Well, they did with Joker.
Yeah.
This movie is so different to any other superhero movie, really.
The unfortunate thing is, Vincent,
If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense.
if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense, first and foremost. And that's before the foreclosures. Because if you ain't got dollars, that's what you got. But the thing is that I want to bring up, one of the movies that that are coming out for DC next is Black Adam starring Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Yeah, that was Shazam. That's wild. That was a good movie.
Shazam was good, but Dwayne The Rock Johnson, great, love him. Zoa, like whatever. Not keen for that movie because it's going to be like Dwayne being like, I'm an anti-hero. And then some bigger threat's going to come, he's going to punch it, and he's going to be like, I'm a hero now. That's what that movie's going to be.
Yeah.
But one of the most anticipated movies is unfortunately shrouded in so much deserved controversy. So The Flash, they're doing the Flashpoint.
Oh, I'm doing Flashpoint Paradox
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Flashpoint.
With Ezra Miller. So they have been going around Hawaii just threatening people's lives.
What?
You got to be up on the Ezra Miller news. Like Ezra Miller has been, they've been causing fusses. Like they've been going up to people. One, they had like a 16-year-old person that they were grooming and drugging and things like that.
What?
Kidnapped from their family. Right? They've been going into random people's houses in Hawaii and threatening them with knives.
Who?
Ezra Miller. The actor as Flash. Dude that went through the speed gate or whatever he went through whatever they went through in
As in not for the movie.
I'm saying this is not, he's like, I'll effing stab you if you don't watch The Flash, you dogs. This is this is a person who is going into these people's houses.
But this is not, okay, when you said that, I thought you meant, we got to film it, get the hell out of here, or we're kidnapping you and your kids. What's the story?
Ezra Miller's kidnapping people's kids.
Okay, so
and grooming them.
Okay.
They are doing that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this individual, Ezra Miller,
he's the Flash,
who did the Speedgate,
Speedgate, Speed Force, Pizzagate, all of that.
Pizzagate, man.
Yeah.
So he is. This is on at his own accord. Like he's going off.
That's at their own accord. That's not.
They're doing okay. Right. Well,
because I ain't. We're
but
1 hour in. I ain't getting cancelled. Go on, Riz. I'm listening, and I got the headphones on. I can hear.
So they are doing this on their own accord.
Well, I mean, I'm sure.
So they're not going, hey, we need this for a movie set. Get the hell out of here.
I don't understand why that's in your mind that would happen.
Because you said the movie is shrouded in controversy.
Because it's still being brought out despite this person threatening people's lives currently.
Okay. That's all right. I understand.
I'm not saying it's like, oh, bro, we can't afford sets anymore. Hey, Ezra, man, listen.
Get these people out of their house.
Just threaten this person in Hawaii. Because I don't think they're doing Flash in Hawaii, first of all. But apparently, from what has been said, this is top tier, this movie.
Who said that?
All these people at DC, and that's why they haven't scrapped it. They scrapped Batwoman or Batgirl because it wasn't good. But they're bringing out this movie still. It has not been scrapped because they've spent way too much money on it, one, and also because apparently it's top tier. But the reason that I was bringing this up in the first place, not just because it's shrouded in controversy and we could, create some content, but also is because this is where I fear they might be heading back into.
Honestly, all it will take is one good movie that can spark a universe.
Well, it's multiversal now if you do Flashpoint.
That's true. But I'm saying it just takes one good movie that can spark a bunch of other movies.
Yeah.
And they'll do it because they know that makes money. It's a proven formula.
But you know what? We have
What would you do if I just stopped recording right now? And just cut
I
it
mean,
off.
we could, man.
That would be kind of funny.
But at least we have the Batman now. Here's the thing. Batman, not only is it a good standalone film, it is more than rewatchable. You can rewatch this many a times.
I've only rewatched it twice, but I reckon tonight I'm going to watch it because
watch it, bro. Like, what do you got? What are you going to do?
I don't have anything to do.
Got nothing
I
to
don't
do.
have anything to do.
You haven't got no job. You ain't got stuff to do. But you do have a job.
I do have a
which
job.
is fantastic, especially in this climate. I mean,
Bro,
with the housing
and
market.
I got a new job, and that job is unbelievable. Love it.
That's great. Man.
One last thing I want to talk about.
I just want to say this. I'm
No.
giving it a 10.
I just want to say this.
I'm giving this a 10.
No, I don't care what you have
This
to say.
is a 10.
The scene in Carmen Falcone's thing where he's in the elevator and the elevator opens and there's no one there and it's darkness and the only thing you can see is the flashes from the fire.
The
muzzle flash. One of the greatest scenes I have been a part of.
This is fantastic because not only in that scene do you see just the muzzle flashes. So that was done. With
That was
light.
realistic, wasn't it?
There was no after effects in that. Well, I mean, there would have been in some cases, but
So you're telling me that's going to get the Oscar for that? Just for
that.
special effects?
It's
Just give it
done.
that. Like Mad Max Fury Road, that got the best
it's done.
effects.
Yeah, but Mad Max Fury, that was a spectacle.
Yeah, no,
Mad
that
Max
was a
Fury Road
spectacle.
was a
That's
spectacle.
right. But in terms of this is a spectacle as well, just not quite on that scale.
So not only is that scene great because it's just wild that you just see it in glimpses and you see him like beating fools up in glimpses. But there's parts where he's just walking through and he's just bullets are just rattling
yeah,
off his
when he's
suit.
on the last two guys.
Yeah.
If I was those two, I'd be running the
It's just
opposite
like,
way.
You put the gun down, you say, "Hey, look, I'm on your side now."
If there's two people there and this dude's still shooting, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah, you either got to run. I mean,
Or you got to start shooting that guy.
you got to start shooting that guy. Yeah, just like,
Hey, Batman.
I got him, bro. Yeah, I'm robbing.
Don't
now.
worry.
I got
Man.
the whites. You know, I mean the tights.
I'm in the tights. I will agree with you. This is the best movie I've ever watched.
Ding. Definitely, if we did a top 5 dead or alive movies of all time, this is on the list.
This is number one for me. This is knocking off Blade Runner for me.
Man, that's wild.
I have never been so
That's wild.
into a movie like I have been the Batman.
I watched.
There's not even. I just feel like the whole thing, the pacing, it's just unbelievable. It really is unbelievable. I watched it again and I still couldn't believe how good it was. And it's, I know, bro. You're just going to be.
I'm looking at Annika. I just want to see what
you
other
just
things.
text.
Other
That's
things
all right. I
Annika's
mean,
doing.
we're 72 minutes in.
Annika's just doing French films. So that's Annika things.
Hey, but that's all right, And we just did French cereal, so check that out on YouTube.
People aren't listening to this.
No, 72 minutes in, there's no way.
Can you hear me still? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
What was I saying?
Talk soon.
What was I saying? I was saying something.
I was actually quite distracted by.
Yeah,
the
I
Annika
know
thing.
that. I know that, and you distracted me. I was talking about greatest movie
You're
ever.
talking about greatest movie ever.
I was talking about
Blade
greatest
Runner
movie.
2049. It's off. / Blade Runner. It's off.
Blade Runner. Blade Runner was my top.
Yeah.
Now, there's just nothing I can fault about this film.
Yeah. Yeah.
Talk soon.
Talk soon.